Hi, everybody. How are you? Thanks for coming this afternoon. I want to welcome you here on behalf of all of us about this conversation about life transitions. Just a couple of notes before we get started. Feel free to get up and walk around, use the restroom. There's water over on the side tables. But just please don't use the center aisle because Brian is videotaping this and you'll be like right in the camera walking out. So if you can just come down around the front or back. So this program was conceived by the OceanView Resident Assistance Fund, the OVRAF, and they came to us maybe 4 months ago or so and had a meeting and had talked about the need for having a gathering to talk about transitioning here at OceanView and Cumberland Crossing and the care continuum and all the resources and things that are available. So we all met and put this program together that you have the outline for. And so Tess Coate is our independent wellness director. Tamara Vogel is our assisted living sales consultant. And I think I know most of you, and I've been the director of sales and marketing here and helped most of you make this big decision to move here. We do have handouts, and so you can listen and you'll have resources to take with you. You shouldn't have to take too many notes. So when we worked together, when you were first deciding to move to OceanView or considering it, the care continuum was probably one of the key reasons that you looked at our community, because you knew that if you moved here, you know, there were resources and supports should your health change, assisted living and memory care in addition to in-home care and different resources, wellness management, that you would be able to stay here and age in place at home, which OceanView would become and has become. So we would have talked about that along with all of the other great things about living at OceanView, the fun and the fitness and the friends and all the, you know, other good stuff. That care continuum, you know, was probably a big piece of why you made this decision. Let's see. So that peace of mind is something that I hope you've been enjoying ever since you moved in, and we're going to help you understand a little bit more about the different services and resources and why you can continue to enjoy that peace of mind. So I'm going to introduce Tess first as our independent wellness director. She's going to talk about the resources and services that she and her department provide, and then as she moves on through the services and starts to work with Tamara as residents' needs increase, Tamara will talk more about Falmouth House and legacy memory care. So thank you again for being here. Just remember throughout all of this, we're all here for you and to help you should you need it. So just please keep that in mind as everybody's talking about the different supports.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
hello.
Tess.
I'm Tess, for any of you that don't know. I'm the, the wellness director here at OceanView. So many of you I know. Some of the things that I do here, we do myself and then the other nurses that are here. We have the initial wellness visit after you move in, and then annual visits after that. And during those visits, we're looking at, you know, maybe some of the things that have changed since you either moved in, or if it's your initial visit, maybe some of the things that were missed on those file of lives that we do. And then as needs change and evolve, we just sort of, I don't know, see where those needs are. I'm lost.
Well, why don't I jump in, because I'm sure it'll come back to you. So I'm Tamara Vogel, and I've been here at OceanView for just about 5 years this month. And I sit at Falmouth House, so some of you may have seen me if you have visited Falmouth House. I like to say that I'm the Gloria of Falmouth House and Legacy, you know, with an official title of sales and marketing for assisted living, which memory care is indeed also assisted living. But I'm much, much more than sales, as we all are in these different roles. Very much a team effort, and I really wanted to focus a little bit on that partnership and team that Tess was starting to allude to. So my main role is to make sure that residents of OceanView, and also folks from our community and outside of our community, often if there's family here, have the knowledge and the understanding of the rates and services and all of the things that we can do for our folks in an assisted living environment. So one of my primary goals is to help educate. And that's a partnership that I do with Tess, because Tess is also educating folks on where their needs are and when they're changing. A big piece of this is done with your families. It's a peace of mind for your families as well to plan ahead or be prepared for something that they may not be ready for, but know that the services are there. So I start by, Tess and I talk a lot, and she will reach out to me and share information about one of you, either a family member or yourself, that maybe needs are changing, and to perhaps anticipate you coming to visit me. And I will call Tess and say, I have some availability, and I've met with a bunch of folks from here, and I'm wondering where your thoughts are on who may want to come and think about a move to assisted living. And I'll talk a little bit more further down in our conversation about what we do offer there and what that process is.
Tess, will you address the reasons why we would start a conversation about possibly moving to assisted living?
Yep. So I think, safety, everyone's safety is the biggest concern for me, and I think for you as well. And that's really probably where we, I don't know, if there's a safety concern, or maybe you start having folks that start falling or some cognitive decline, you start picking up on some of that. That's really where those conversations can start to take place. Just those observations in your environment, those are changes that we would see and maybe need to start having those conversations. So, is that?
Can you talk about pro?
Pro services are, it's the bane right now. We do have some pro services. We do have a couple of folks here that, can come into your living space, your cottage, your apartment, and help with everyday tasks. Maybe
Medication.
bathing, medication. They don't really do medication so much, but helping with bathing, helping with tasks around the house, maybe some light housekeeping, food prep, and just provide companionship as needed. And so we do have that available right now. I'm trying to build that program up so that we have more availability. And so as I get more people on board, hopefully I can really open that up to having better availability than right now. Everybody's really booked up right now. So, but there are caregivers that will come into the home and really help you with whatever you need. And you would just let us know what you needed, how much time you needed, and how often. And that's the way the program's supposed to work. So,
I can piggyback on that.
Yeah.
So, Tess is working with you and your families to identify what needs you need in your current living home, in your current living space, whether you're in a cottage or an apartment, and helping to assess and identify where those safety needs are, where additional support is needed. And very often it starts with those home services coming in to help you out. Occasionally there's an event that happens. Frequently an event is a fall and a trip to the hospital, and then maybe rehab. And depending on your health condition after that event, it may be a decision with your health providers and your family that it would be to your benefit, for a lot of reasons, to make that move to where you can have assistance on a regular basis. So the difference is that here, in an apartment or a cottage, pro services or other agency services will come in on a schedule. They'll help you with the things Tess was talking about, with bathing and dressing and maybe some other things about the home, to make it safe and easy for you to stay in your home. At some point, the challenges of that may reach a point where it makes more sense for you to have somebody available to you around the clock. 24-hour in-home care is quite expensive. It's not, people do it, it has been done. But what we offer and I'm going to talk mostly about Falmouth House first, and then I'll talk a little more about Legacy. They're very similar and very different. But if you needed to have somebody around more often than home care providers can do, we have a community where we have staff there 24 hours. There is a nurse. You may all know the nurse. She's the one that's on for the evening and the weekend shifts. She's the nurse at Falmouth House. He or she is the nurse at Falmouth House. So we provide all of the things that you need to have a great quality of life, to be safe, to be healthy and well, because we provide some of the medical oversight for whatever you've got going on. And then we have this great social program. We have a lot of, what is it you said, fun, friends, and fitness. We do all of those at Falmouth House. So as I work with Tess, and the decision is that that move should occur, for whatever personal reasons you all are facing that transition in your life. An apartment becomes available, and come down and tour with me, and your family comes in, and everybody talks about it, and we talk about all the services that you get if you live at Falmouth House. And those are lengthy. You're going to get all of your meals, same food, same dining company. Lots of times you'll see the same servers at Falmouth House that you may have seen up here. You'll get housekeeping, laundry done, medication management. We'll come in and give you your meds. You don't have to order them, think about whether they need to be renewed. We'll take care of all of that. Then we'll also help you with those ADLs, activities of daily living. And those are the 5 or 6 things that we all need on a regular basis. Bathing, dressing, using the bathroom, walking, transferring from one thing to another, like a bed to a chair, eating, and then cognitive is a piece of that as well. So we're there to provide those assistance at whatever level you need. And we do a thorough assessment with an occupational therapist when you arrive to determine what those needs are. We want you to be as independent as possible, but we want you to be safe. So an occupational therapist will come in and work with you on those activities of daily living in your apartment at Falmouth House. And then that person will transfer that knowledge after working with you for a few weeks to our staff and to our nurses. So we know exactly what you need. It might be you need additional equipment to be safe. You might need a different kind of walker, or maybe a walker for the first time. So we provide all those medical services to make sure that you're getting what you need. And then we have a social program. We have an activities coordinator. Some of you may have met Lisa if you've come down to visit, or maybe you're part of the German group. She coordinates and schedules all of our activities, and we have 4 or 5 or 6 things a day, including exercise group, book club. We've recently added a Scrabble group, a knitting group, a painting group. We have concerts every week. We have a wine and cheese event every Wednesday before dinner. And the list goes on. It goes on. I can share it with you if you'd like. So my reason for sharing all of that is the transition from staying in your home, your cottage or apartment. Now you need a little bit of assistance. So you're getting those that help with those ADLs in your apartment here or your cottage. But are you getting out of your living space here? Are you being social, or are you a little bit more limited now? Are you safe during the night when you're there alone if you were to fall or need some help? You all have is it a pull cord that you have in your?
Pendants.
You wear pendants?
Yeah.
What happens when you ring for help? Who comes? Ah, that's really fun, isn't it? Everybody wants to know what happened. So when you live at Falmouth House or Legacy, you can have a pendant, or we have some pull cords in the apartments. When you ring that, a staff member will come and check on you. And then maybe a nurse will come and do an assessment. And if it's something that needs more medical attention than we can provide, then they will call the ambulance for you. But we've done that assessment first. So it's much more personal. It's somebody that you likely know. You've seen them every day. So we provide that level of care and assessment for you as well. Do you want me to just keep going?
Go ahead. Were you going to talk about something?
No, go ahead. Well, no, go ahead.
Okay, jump
Yeah, I
in.
think you're-
Just interrupt me. And
Okay.
you're very casual here. Just interrupt me.
So I'll talk about when residents transition, if there's a couple. Lots of times, you know, with two people, their needs aren't the same at the same time. So there are different scenarios that can happen, and every situation is different. So we are all going to be involved with meeting with you to figure out what is best for you. And to reiterate kind of what Tamara and Tess said, you can have some care brought into your independent home for a period of time, and as long as that's working and that's safe, that can continue and be increased. And what I share with new people investigating our community often is, you know, it's really when you need help like that. It can't be scheduled from 8 to 10 a.m. or 5 to 7 p.m. or any other time. When you need it at that minute. And so that's really 24-hour care, and that's really when we're talking with your family and with you about thinking about that transition, when you're approaching that need for assistance on the spot. So back to with a couple, if there's two people, one may go to Falmouth House or Legacy, and one may stay in their independent home. You can both sometimes go. We have larger apartments at Falmouth House. You can both move together if that's deemed preferable, and it's, again, a conversation and an individual decision. Or you can both, I was trying to remember the third one, you can both stay in independent living, but for the sake of the one needing care, it would need to be that 24-hour care, which, again, as Tamara said, is very expensive. But some people prefer that and make that decision. So there are a number of scenarios. Jim has a question. Dawn will bring you or Bruce has a mic.
When you come to the point where one's partner needs assisted living and the other needs one
Can't hear you.
Speak up, talk right into it like an ice cream cone.
When you come to the point where one person needs assisted living and the other person is still capable of independent living, what are the costs? You have to pay both?
Yep. Yeah, that's a great question. He's asking if there are two people and one is in one place and one is in the other, what are the costs? So the way I like to explain it is that it's really like having two houses. If one lives in assisted living and one lives in independent living, you know, it's like you're maintaining two homes. So yes, you would have to pay the rental rate in assisted living, which Tamara will talk more about, and you're still paying for one person in independent living, not the second person fee, obviously. But that does prevent the resale of that independent home to get your 100% refundable entrance fee back. So often when a couple is facing these decisions, they do consider moving together for the sake of the refund of the entrance fee, you know, so they can vacate it and we can sell it to the next person and refund that 100% refundable entrance fee. And then the whole idea of how OceanView is set up is those entrance fees are nest eggs that you all know you can count on getting back. so that when you do, or if you do need assisted living, which is always a rental, memory care and assisted living, here at OceanView, you're going to have that chunk of your assets back to then use for those rental rates, which of course are higher, and they include 24-hour care and meals and housekeeping and laundry and all of that. So I just wanted to touch on that. It was one of the next bullet points on our agenda. So.
I'll add a little bit to that. We do have couples that live at Falmouth House, and we have some lovely new larger apartments we added about 3 or 4 years ago. If one of the couple, one person in that couple, is very independent, you can live there and get your meals there, and we'll do your laundry, but then you can participate in whatever you were enjoying in the independent community. You can still come up to the lodge and go to activities or to clubs. You can still go to the gazebo grill or to the fitness or to the pool or go see a movie with friends that you had here. You can park your car at Falmouth House. We'll even shovel off the snow. So you can maintain a good portion of that independence even though you're living in assisted living. And we have those levels of care. So Legacy is set up a little bit differently, but Falmouth House does have levels of care, and that's that occupational therapy assessment that we do when you arrive. We're going to want to understand if you're independent enough to do your own medications and take your own showers, and if that's the case, then you're our level 1 and you don't need those services. But you still have a file with us, and you still have a care plan, and the nurse still knows your health and conditions, and if you should have something happen, we're still there to support you, even though you're functioning very independently. Our second level of care, we add in medication management. Now, the state does require, if somebody is living in assisted living and they want to maintain their own medication process, that means knowing what to take and when to take them, the nurse has to put you through a little test, and you have to be able to show her that you know what you're doing. And then we have 2 levels of care. One is a little bit lighter than the other, where you're getting some assistance with those ADLs, those activities of daily living. The lighter level in some cases is really just safety. I'm here, I'm outside the shower, I'll help you with the towel, I'll pass you something, but you're pretty much doing a lot of it yourself. You're just getting a little bit of assistance. And then the heavier level is where we're actually providing more effort and more of the task at hand. And those are all of your hygiene things. So whatever it is you need, we're going to be assisting with you with those. The one caveat is the new term for our nursing home that we all grew up and visited our grandparents in. That new term is called long-term care. And yes, that does confuse us with our long-term care insurance, but it is a long-term care facility that is the new nursing home. The way we identify those needs is assisted living is for people who can get those ADLs accomplished with one person. And you need to be able to do about half of the effort. So about a 50-50% effort. If you decline, or perhaps it's end of life, or you've had an event happen, and you can't provide 50% of the effort, that's not safe for either you or our caregivers and nurses. And that's when we define it as long-term care, needing that level of care. Now, we don't call up your family and say, you better go find a place for Dad. It's time for him to go. That's not how OceanView does it. We're going to take care of you as long as we can, and we're going to partner with you and your family on how best to do that. Now, this may be when we have to add additional care to the care that we provide for you in our assisted living. It might be that during showers or your morning or evening routine, or bathing if you're confined to a bed at any point, we need 2 people. So we ask you to provide that second person. It could be a family member. It could be an agency staff or pro services, when we have all kinds of extra staff. But we want you to be safe, and we're not staffed to provide that second person. Now, we will do it during the period of time where we're kind of saying, are they gonna be a two-person or not? Is this just a bad day, or they've just come back from the hospital? It's not black and white. And we don't put a date in the, we don't put a date on the calendar that says we're gonna stop doing that on this date. But what we want you to know is we're not gonna tell you to leave. And we will do everything we can to work with you and your family to provide you the safe care that you need. And most people do stay at Falmouth House or Legacy. They do not leave. And they're able to stay, and the people that they're familiar with and the people, the apartment that they've been in is where they will stay.
Can you talk about hospice?
Oh, absolutely. Hospice will come to Falmouth House and Legacy, just like it will come to your home here. If you are declining in your cottage, you don't have to go to Falmouth House or Legacy if you're declining. Many folks stay in their homes through end of life. But hospice will also come to our two communities of assisted living and provide the care that you need there. They can also be that second person on occasion. They're not there every day. But they do the special things that they do for people right there at Falmouth House. I often have accolades from family members after someone has passed or during a difficult time that they just didn't realize how amazing the care would be and how compassionate our staff is and how much we can provide. Shall I go to the fear? Sure. Okay. So nobody puts go to assisted living or nursing home on their bucket list, right? Anybody do that? Yeah. Maybe you did plan for the future, plan for my care. You got a long-term care insurance policy. You came to a place like OceanView that provides that continuation of care. A lot of us do plan for that. But you do, at some point, you've been hearing everything we talk about with when is it the right time for my mom, if you've got a daughter or son looking over you, or my parents, to make that move, because the peace of mind for them is huge. So you decide to come. What did you put on here? The no-budgers. The no-budgers. Yeah. Yeah, you're out there. Yeah.
You're out there. Yes, you are.
And you're a little stubborn. Maybe you've been that way all your life.
Resistant, little resistant.
Little resistant, little resistant.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's a very valid reason to have a little apprehension about that move. Nobody wants to have somebody take care of them if they don't feel they need it. And God bless you all, most of you don't think you need it. And you're doing okay, but will you do okay for the longer time? And it's a fear of the unknown, because that's one of the things we fear in life itself, is the unknown. So the way to put aside that fear is to find out about it. Come visit, ask questions, find out what we do. Come and spend some time with friends that are there. A lot of you I know have friends that are living in these two communities. It's a hard transition because you're giving up a space that you love and more than likely moving to a smaller space. But it doesn't take long before new residents to us at Falmouth House and family of those residents to come to appreciate the difference and the timing of that move. So I'll just tell you a quick funny story. Someone told me that they overheard somebody saying, this was years ago, well, why would I go to Falmouth House? That's where you go to die. Well, we're all going to die. And Falmouth House can provide a high quality of living as you go through the different phases of your older years and provide you with good food and good entertainment and a nurse who is your case manager, basically. You've got a frontline medical team that's watching over you every day and taking care of you. And you're going to stay as independent as possible, and you're actually going to grow to feel the family that we have there. So the fear is really just the unknown and the fear of thinking that you're giving up an independence. In some cases, our folks are gaining independence by coming in and living with us at Falmouth House because they're safer and they're not isolated and they're being taken care of so that they can be more independent in their everyday life. So we're not scary, really.
Tamara,
Back to you.
how do we get our names in line to come and live at Falmouth House? Is there a wait list or?
Yes, there is a wait list, and I don't really call it a wait list where I am because there's no deposit. Usually it starts with a family member or yourself calling me or working through Tess. And we go through, we meet frequently and say, well, you know, these are the people that we think are going to be needing it in the near future, and these are the people that we've heard from that the family wants to get on the list. My list isn't necessarily numbered, 1 through 20. And that's what we do here at OceanView is we look at where the need is the greatest. If it's an urgent need because you're in rehab, that makes you more urgent. Some people are particular; they want a certain size apartment or a sunnier apartment. So it's very fluid. I have names that Tess and I share. Sometimes I'll tell her somebody called me, and she'll go, "Really? Okay." But a lot of times, family members are thinking ahead. That's good. So. You don't necessarily have to have your name on my fluid list. If your need is there and you're talking to Tess and I and it's what makes sense and we have availability and we don't have anybody else with a more urgent need than you, then we'll do our best to find you a place, find you an apartment to live in there.
But waiting until...
Oh, sorry.
Falmouth House has 48 apartments. Until about 3 years ago, we had 38 apartments, and we added 10 large ones. Legacy has 29 apartments. We had 24, and about a year and a half ago, when the Stewart Center left our community, we were able to take that space and turn it into 5 more apartments. So we have 29 at Legacy and 48 at Falmouth House.
And that doesn't sound like that many because we have a lot of independent cottages and apartments, but because Tess is working with the residents, Tess and her team are working with the residents whose needs are changing. She may be arranging a little care in the morning or a little help in the evening or helping them with a med box or whatever it might be. She's involved with those residents whose needs are changing. So as they may increase, she's well aware and kind of proactively managing all of that behind the scenes because as Tamara mentioned, we do have meetings, to talk about the needs of our residents and whose needs might be most crucial next. And so when there is an opening, whoever is in that position and has the highest level of need, we would approach and see if they were interested in whatever that availability was. So there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes management, kind of like a safety net.
You're always going to have a higher priority over someone outside of OceanView. And did you have a question?
Yes, please. Could you explain a little bit about the cost involved at the different levels?
Yep, I can certainly do that. Is there
Repeat the question, please.
the cost of the different levels? Were you going to do a handout of that sheet that I have? Okay, I'll speak to it. But there is a handout of our rates and services sheet. Is it in their packet? Okay. Is it in my packet?
That's what I was going to look.
No, I just have the 2 pages.
Yeah.
So I know it from heart. I can do it. So I was talking about the, thank you. I was talking about the levels of care, and that the first level is pretty independent. So if you look at level 1, all of those amenities that I was talking about are what you would get with level 1. And then as your needs increase, or if you come to us with an increased level of needs, these build upon each other. So if you're a level 3 because you need some assistance with showering to be safe, we're also going to do your medication. And then this is what we assess on before. Usually when you come, we know pretty close to what you're going to be because I've spoken with Tess, or we've met you, or one of our nurses, our nurse manager has come to visit you. So we get a good idea from that perspective, and then the OT, excuse me, takes it from there. So all the things I was talking about in level 1, I just want to hit upon a couple of things I didn't mention. I did talk about the nurse being a case manager and an advocate, and that's really the key component of this. They're there for you 24 hours a day with what level you need. And they're also going to talk with your medical team of your primary care physician and any other specialists that you have about whatever your health condition is. So Tess provides a lot of great things, but when you're living in assisted living, it really is a deeper dive. We really are basically your frontline team. We also provide a geriatrician that comes to both Falmouth House and Legacy. You can change and have that person be your primary care. Now we see that a lot when people come from away. Not as much with folks like you that live here and have an established physician, but you can do that. And we also will do we'll do all of your medication. We have a pharmacy that we do all the medications through, and that's where PT, OT, and speech through Fox Rehab is in our building at Falmouth House. So those are all what I like to call amenities. As you can see, that price there is $7,611 just to come in at level 1. You'll have a care plan, you'll have a case manager, you'll have all those things taken care of, an apartment, all our social programming. Includes the only thing it doesn't include is we don't provide cable TV, internet, and a landline phone. You have to have a Spectrum account for that. Everything else is included, all your utilities, your meals, your laundry, your housekeeping, all of the nursing services. Then as you go down to level 2, we add that medication management if you pass your test. And that price there is $8,584. Level 3 and level 4 are when you can do about 75% of the effort is level 3. We also add into level 3 and level 4 a little assistance if you've got some cognitive decline. Reminders, cueing, making sure you're going to get where you need to be and not relying 100% on you to do it. And then level 4 is that 50-50 that I talked about with effort, a little bit more assistance cognitively and also incontinence management. And we assess that. You may come as a level 2 and you may be a level 4 after a couple of years. We also have the ability to have somebody live there independently. So that a second person, let me talk to that a little bit. So if you're a couple and one of you is a level 3, really needs that assistance with those ADLs, but the other is very independent or mostly independent, but could use some oversight of their medical and other health issues. So that first person comes in at a level 3, and you can see that that's $8,992. The second person, if they're entirely independent, and usually that's if we know you here at OceanView, would be that at the very bottom, $2,044. So the second person is not nearly as expensive, but you're still going to be up in that over $10,000 a month. In addition to that, if you go up into the larger apartments, there's additional cost to those. Yes?
This may not be as timely as possible, and our personal situation might be different than other people because we've been here so long, which means if we left our 3-bedroom cottage the amount of our contract price has little relevance to what the contract price for that building would be today. So I'm coming around the circle, and the first part of that question really is about assisted living and the payment for assisted living, and how much would Falmouth House personnel take part in assistance in making sure the assisted living payments paid? Does that make any sense?
Well, you would continue to have an invoice every month from our OceanView billing office. And if you are using autopay, that just stays the same. Your invoice would reflect your rental for the apartment at Falmouth House. It would just be a different amount because it would be more for assisted living. So we're not, the staff at Falmouth House, although people do come and talk to me about their bills and about their long-term care insurance, and I'm happy to sit and explain and follow up on questions and make sure it's right and that you understand it. But you're still accountable for making the monthly payment. And as I said, you can have that on autopay. If you have long-term care insurance and you are qualified, you're under claim, often many of those have a 90-day elimination period, but if you're getting assistance or have enough of a cognitive decline, oftentimes you will be on claim for long-term care insurance, and that will pay for a very large portion dependent on your policy. Some people have policies that pay an enormous amount, and others have just put like a little safety net in. So it's really a conversation that you should have with your insurance company when the time is getting closer to perhaps being on claim. And don't wait, because some people think that they have to be really in great need before it will kick in. But we will help you with that long-term care insurance policy. They come to us and need a little information, and then we have to confirm that you were actually there and getting assistance, and then you pay us and they reimburse you. Yes?
Under level 2, it says scheduled local medical transportation.
Yes.
Does that mean that the person is taken to the doctor, or they just provide for a car from OceanView? What does that mean?
It's exactly the same as what you get as an independent resident. If you have a scheduled doctor's appointment and you want to have our transportation take you to that appointment, you let us know and we call transportation and we schedule it and they come to Falmouth House and pick you up. Beyond that one, you can still schedule whatever vehicle you need. But there is a fee for that, and it's the same fee that you've been using if you're using it in an independent, in your independent living.
Is there an incremental fee annually like we have at independent living?
Yes, there is.
4%?
Approximately. Mm-hmm. Although I will add, if you come, your increase is on your anniversary. So the best deal is to have your lease effective December 31st, because then you don't get the next year until the end of the year. Just saying. But it is, if you move in September, and there is an annual increase effective in January, you do not pay that annual increase until September. Your lease provides you with the locked-in rate for 1 year. And then you increase every year on your anniversary. And you'll get a letter from the billing department and our assisted living director explaining that, and then the next invoice will have that increase on it.
What is the average length of stay at Falmouth House?
Very good question. I often talk about this with folks who are looking at their long-term care insurance policies, and they've got a letter in the mail that says, your premiums have gone up. And you have 3 choices: stay the same, decrease your coverage, or cancel your plan. And people call me and say, well, how much money do I need to go there? And I'm happy to have those conversations with you. I'm not going to advise. And my first advice is to call your insurance company and get as much information as you can. But if you look at the data, women are going to live a little bit longer, guys, on average. But men tend to need care a little bit longer. So if you just put us all into one pool, 3 years is probably the average. Women more like 2.5, men more like 3.5. Now with that said, we've had folks at Falmouth House for 8, 10, I think Myron was there for 12. All those of you that knew Myron Hager, he was there for 12 years. He was. He was 104 when he passed. So it really varies based on your individual needs, your longevity in your family, your health, whether you have a fall. But typically, I would say that 3-year is pretty average. So when Gloria was talking about the little nest egg, the intent was that, and I know, sir, you've been here longer, and good for you for enjoying all that long time in independent living. It doesn't mean that you lost the lottery because you've been there longer, but that's what that nest egg is for. And if you do some of the math and how much it's going to cost, you've got income coming in, most of you. You've got Social Security. You may have a pension or an annuity. You may have investments and things of that sort. So you need to look at your whole picture. It sounds big when you look at those numbers, but you're getting a lot for that. You're getting a lot.
Gloria,
and a big piece of that is the peace of mind.
Gloria, this might be a good place to talk about the process of selling your independent unit at OceanView.
We do have one more question.
Sure. Bruce has a question.
To go back, here I am with a microphone. Hello. Yeah. To go back to having one partner in Falmouth House and one not. Can the partner who's still in independent living come for a meal? Can they come to spend the night? Can they take part in the daily activities? How much can they integrate without actually being a resident?
Absolutely all of that. We don't have any hard and fast rules. That's your home. Of course you want your family there, and of course you want visitors. So yes, you can come for a dinner, you can bring dinner and eat in the apartment or out on the patio. You can come for our concerts, it happens all the time. You can just come and hang out in the morning and spend time with them. You can take them for a drive or take them to lunch, or they can come spend the night with you. All of that. Now, with that said, you need to let us know what you're doing so that we know where you are. We're a little bit more careful about keeping tabs on folks down there. So you do lose that independence. And it really scares us when we can't find a resident. So we ask you to let us know if you're coming for, even if you're coming for a meal or if you're taking them out, because then we'll call the police and start the hunt. But yes, it is their home and your home, and you're all welcome.
Jim has a question.
Yes.
Jim has a question.
I have a question regarding activities. If you are in Falmouth House, do you have the ability to go to the activities that are available through independent living, through the lodge? I have been on the van for many, many things like the Symphony Orchestra or the Beer Fest or whatever, and I've never had the van picking up anybody at Falmouth House.
Yes. Let me talk to that a little bit.
You might want to repeat the question.
The question was, if you live at Falmouth House or Legacy, are you able to participate in independent activities? And you refer to the symphony and that the van you've never seen the van pick up anybody at Falmouth House. So I've had people come and live with us at Falmouth House who want to do the bigger fitness facility. We do exercise class with the personal trainers, but they want the equipment and the bigger fitness facility, or they want to swim in the pool. Or they want to do other types of activities. The only caveat we have there is safety. So if somebody wants to go up to the fitness facility, we're going to have them work with a physical therapist to determine if that is a good thing for them, and then maybe arrange to have a personal trainer. We're going to make sure they know how to get there and get back, if transportation needs to be scheduled, or maybe somebody needs to go with them. So that's the most important thing right there. Sometimes if you're in assisted living, going off on your own and getting on a van and going into Portland or going over to the fitness facility really shouldn't be done alone. It could be a hired caregiver that goes with you. It could be a family member, or, you know, we want you to go with somebody. You're right, I don't see a lot of our Falmouth House folks going to the Symphony, but if you were an independent resident who had done that for a long time while you were living independently, and you really wanted to continue to do that, we would simply assess whether you could get there and back safely. And maybe a friend that lives at the lodge would go with you, but we're very flexible. Our primary goal is that you are safe and you stay well and that you are happy. So we would do whatever we could to make that work.
Jim?
Yes.
There's a question, Phil, in the back.
We'll see if this works. Yes. A couple moves in, and one of the spouses that needs assisted living, the other's independent. The spouse that needs assisted living passes away. What do you do with the independent living person?
That's a really good question. Well, I mean, that individual has a lot of choices, and we will certainly work with them to help them in any way that we can. Again, we're not going to kick you out of the apartment just because your spouse has passed and you're independent. However, you will have to pay the full price of the apartment while you're there. Oftentimes, I would arrange for you to perhaps talk with one of the independent sales folks to see if there's an apartment here, or maybe a rental at plumber school, or maybe family will intervene, and for a period of time while you're going through that transition of losing your spouse, you would live with family until another arrangement can be made. So there are many, many options, and it's very individualized for everybody. You can live there if you're independent and be that level 1. We're absolutely happy to have you. But you could choose to find another living option as well.
You would have priority too, Phil, as a resident. All of our residents, all of you, have priority to transition within the community. So it doesn't just go one way, it goes both ways. So if that were the case, you would be first in line for an independent apartment or cottage, whatever opened up. And we usually have something pending coming down the road that we could show you and share with you. So go right ahead.
Sure, so Fox Rehabilitation, is that strictly services provided to those that are already in assisted living? Or if somebody's had surgery, could they come and get that service, or what would be needed?
Yes, so they do have a presence at Falmouth House, but, pardon?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was Fox Rehab, formerly Coastal, if you're not familiar with that change. It's PT, OT, and speech, and their primary space is at Falmouth House. And we do have our folks who come to Falmouth House and Legacy have assessments as part of their admission. They see people privately within the community. I see independent people all the time come in and say, I'm here to see Fox Rehab, and we direct them where to go. So anybody can see them. You need a physician's prescription to have those services, the referral.
Yep.
They also make house calls. I see them all the time here in the lodge buildings, coming to see independent residents who may have a prescription for PT or OT. So they do come to you also.
Is it on? Yes. One thing you haven't mentioned, during the time that your independent living cottage or apartment, it still belongs to you before it's been resold.
That's yours.
My understanding is that you still pay the monthly fee for that, for up to 6 months. Is that accurate?
Yes, thank you, Suzanne, for that question. That's actually next on our list, so that's perfect segue. Yes, so if you are planning to move, there are lots of different scenarios, but sometimes you know that you're going to be moving. You may know a few months in advance, be waiting for something, a larger apartment or a special sunny one or something particular that you are planning for your transition from independent to assisted. You would give your notice, and that would start that clock ticking, if you will. It is a 6-month maximum period that you're responsible for your home, but we work with you and show it with your permission and try to find someone to move in as quickly after you have moved out as we can. As you know, we have a really long waiting list now. It's over 335 or 40 members, not individuals, but parties. So we have a lot of people interested in coming to OceanView. It doesn't always mean we're gonna have somebody the day you move out, you know, or even the week after, because we do have to go in and rehab the home, paint it, clean it, fix everything, you know, make sure everything's in good working order, replace a countertop if that might be damaged, whatever it is, to make it like new. So for the new resident coming in, we do show homes while you're there, again with permission, or while they're being rehabbed. So we show them in all states of condition, because it does allow the new resident to choose some of the replacement items. If, say, a countertop is being replaced anyway because it's been damaged, then the new person can pick. So that's a benefit to the new resident coming in. So anyway, we're actively showing the home for you and trying to set up someone in, again, as tight a time frame as possible to minimize that double exposure for you. But yes, you would pay up to a maximum of 6 months. We try certainly very hard to make it a lot tighter than that. In the past year or two, feels like 5, but with COVID, you know, and the supply chain issues and the labor issues, our turnover process with our maintenance team has gotten a little bit longer than it ever used to be. It used to be, you know, 30 days max. And now it does take longer, just because we don't have the ability to get that countertop in quickly. Sometimes it takes months to get the person to come and measure it, and then to get the countertop material. Sometimes it shows up broken. I mean, it's really challenging to do it as fast as we would like to do it. But we meet every week about turnovers also, and so please know that we are turning these homes over as fast as we possibly can, and in order in which we receive the notice, so that we can get somebody in new as soon as possible, and in so reducing your exposure as quickly as possible for it. Jonas?
Just along that same line, how long generally does it take if people are leaving the cottage, or how long does it's still not working, to recover the contract price?
Yep.
If that is the need in financially supporting any kind of move for 1 or 2 people.
Right. So again, we're going to resell the home as quickly as we can for your sake and for the sake of the new person. They want to get in quickly oftentimes too. So we're going to expedite that. Again, our hands are a little bit tied right now with the pace of that because of our turnover delays. So once the new person moves in, new resident moves into your home, it's a 30-day, we refund the entrance fee within 30 days. So typically it's typically it used to be 1 to 4 months, 1 to 3 months. Right now it's probably 3 to 6 months. Even, yeah, probably 3 to 6 months, I would say. But it, you know, it comes right back to you as soon as that new resident comes in. It's just that little snag with the turnovers. Yes.
Just a question to what Jonas was talking about too. I guess that transition from, say you want somebody to move into assisted living, that person does. It looks like, to be more specific, you're going to be looking at whenever you move out to whenever they fill it, and 30 days post that, you're going to have to fund that startup assisted living cost on your own until you get that reimbursement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Did that answer that part of your question, Suzanne?
Yes. I couldn't hear what she was saying.
Oh, Beth's question was, if you move, because of the delay in getting your entrance fee back until the new person moves in, and you've already moved to assisted living, do you have to pay, for the assisted living rental from your own funds? And the answer was yes. And then you get your entrance fee refund back when your home sells, plus 30 days. Yeah, Tricia?
Would the OVRAF help with that?
What's that?
This is a good segue for the RAF to come.
Yeah. The RAF, I think, is going to speak to that directly. My understanding, we don't really have a say over the OVRAF. It's a separate 501c3. Bruce or anybody, were you able to?
The OVRAF is a separate organization.
Right.
Do you have a mic, Bruce? That might help.
Does that mic work? There, we tried. No, when I talk to it, it doesn't.
Do you want to come up here, Bruce?
You can hear it? Okay. The OVRAF has a program where it will make a loan to you against your entry fee if you haven't cashed the entry fee out yet. And that's arranged with OceanView so that the OVRAF has a security interest in that money. The OVRAF, that's our first form of support. The second form of support is that we will make cash grants where the loan against the entrance fee is not enough or may not even be there. That said, our policy is that those kinds of grants are made to people who are part of the OceanView community. In other words, you all live here and you all have supported the building of the OVRAF, and so you are eligible for grants when necessary. But people who come into assisted living, come into memory care from outside, in general are not, because they're not really a part of the community in the same sense that you are. Does that answer the question?
Did that answer your question, Tricia?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. I would also add, for those of you that have long-term care insurance, if you're getting care in your apartment before you move to assisted living, it's a good plan if you can get your claim started, because you can use those days that you're getting care in your independent living towards your elimination fee, your elimination period. So you might be getting in-home care for 3 to 6 months, a few times a week, and that can tick away at that 90-day elimination period, so that when you come to assisted living, it's going to start to pay most of that assisted living, based, of course, on your individual policy, so that you're not feeling that the double weight of paying for 2 places.
That ties in with that kind of pre-planning, working with Tess, and knowing that, down the road you might be thinking in 3 to 6 months about a transition to Falmouth House, because you are receiving assistance with activities of daily living in your independent home. So that long-term care policy very well might be able to kick in at that point. Yes?
I have a question. I'm a resident of Cumberland Crossing. And can Cumberland Crossing residents, I'm a resident of Cumberland Crossing, and just wondering if Cumberland Crossing residents can take part in the OceanView Resident Assistance Fund. Is there some way that those of us who are new here we'll have our own fund or join that fund, or how's that?
Yeah,
What's the
that's a good
provisions?
question. Bruce, do you know the answer to that?
Bylaws of, excuse me, of the ODRAF limit any participation to residents of OceanView. So that was drafted long before Cumberland Crossing was even an idea. And so that's the status of the situation now. Where that will go in the future, I don't know, but that's the situation now.
Oh, was there another question? Okay, thanks.
Okay, so you've decided that the move to assisted living or memory care, and I haven't spoken a lot about memory care. I'll just make a quick synopsis there. It's very similar to Falmouth House in that it provides that level of care for mobility and safety. You get all those ADLs. There's one level there instead of the 4 levels that you see on this sheet. Did we provide the legacy one as well? Yeah. So the services are pretty much the same, except the staff is trained in dementia care for our residents, and the level of caregivers is a higher ratio, because sometimes there's a lot of patience that goes along with care with somebody with dementia. But it's very much the same services, and the rate for our memory care is a daily rate, and it does go up according to the size of the apartment. So the daily rate for our small studio apartment is $347. So that's about $10,500. And as you go up to the largest apartments, which some of those are in the new Stewart neighborhood, that can be upwards of $11,700, I think. There is a second level of care. So if you reach that long-term care level of need, a 2-person assist at Legacy, we can provide that care. You can choose to bring in outside care, as you would at Falmouth House. But at Legacy, we have found, knowing our residents well, and the fact that dementia care takes a certain skill set and a certain, that we train our folks. Somebody from an outside agency may not have that skill set. We can provide that additional care, and you can see that on the bottom of the page. Yeah, it talks about level 2. Right now, that cost is $140 a day, and that's relevant to the cost of private care at around $35. Is it what pro services? It's around $35 or $40 an hour. So we're trying to be comparative to that. Were there any questions about Legacy? It's really the same with a highly skilled, trained staff for dementia care. Then I wanted to talk about the move. I just feel like I'm so hunched over here. There we go. So you've decided to come, or in some cases, your family has decided you're coming. I see them all. And now it's time to move. And you live in a lovely, large apartment here at the main lodge, and you're going to be downsizing to a smaller space at Falmouth House or Legacy. So I like to start with, coming to those communities is not about the apartment. It's about everything else. It's about the care, the other amenities that you'll be getting to be safe, to be well, the social programming that we do. But the apartment is important to you, and I know that. So it is smaller, and in some cases it's more like a little hotel suite. You've got a bedroom and a bathroom and a sitting area and a little kitchenette. No stoves. We're not allowed to do stoves in assisted living. You don't need a stove because we're going to provide you with all your meals. Breakfast comes to you in your apartment on a warming tray if it's a hot breakfast, and then lunch and dinner in the dining room. You can have a tray brought to your apartment if you needed to or chose to. So the kitchenette is more for you to have some snacks in the little fridge, some stuff in the cabinetry. There's a microwave. You can add some small appliances. But the apartment is really just your personal space. So you're going to need to downsize. What fits in, unless you come into one of the larger apartments, maybe as a couple or maybe as an individual, you can bring more. But I'm going to speak mostly to our standard apartment, which is the fees that you see on this sheet. It's about 400 square feet. So it is a bedroom, a sitting room, and a bathroom, and a little kitchenette and a couple of closets. In your bedroom, you're really only going to need a twin or a full-size bed, a dresser, a nightstand. You'll have a few items in your sitting area, love seat, a couple of chairs, TV, some tables, a little drop leaf table in the kitchenette for your breakfast, some nice artwork on the walls and some photos on the windowsill, maybe a plant or two. You can bring your cat. I'm sorry you can't bring your dog, but you can bring your cat.
So you're saying you're furnished?
No, I'm going to get there. I'm going to say what you would bring. I'm kind of giving you a list of the things that you might bring. So as you think about moving and you go back to your current living space, you're going to need to make the decision what goes. So bring the things that you're comfortable with, the things that will fit, the things that you really enjoy seeing, you know, a particular thing that's been in your family or, you know, a family photograph on the wall. Bring the things that are going to make it feel like home to you. I often say less is more. If you stuff the apartment with as much as you can, it's going to be harder for you to get around. So just bring what you need. And we recognize that that is indeed a transition for you. So start early, thinking about how you might go through that process. We're all going to have to go through that process. And it can be challenging if you have a lot. So we have support. We have some support and some advice. We also can refer you to some companies. There's several on the sheet that I provided that can come in and help you go through your belongings, the things that you may want to donate or give to family. But start by just looking around your space and thinking about the things that would be the most important for you to keep if you had to downsize. And then perhaps hire someone to come in and give you an overview of what they might provide. They're great at knowing where the things can go that you don't need to keep or don't want to keep. So they provide a really wonderful service. I encourage you to do this earlier on. I'm not saying downsizing needs to be done starting tomorrow, but if any of you have experienced having, lost an elder family member and having to go and take care of their home after they're gone, it can be a task. So it really is a great service. One of the things that I've encouraged people to do when they're actually making the move, and let's say they're moving from an apartment here in the lodge, and you're picking out your furniture, is to just go around and identify, a little sticky note works great. This table, this lamp, this bookcase, these pictures, and then we can provide a list of movers, or you can use family. And it's a very short move to go from here to Falmouth House or Legacy. And we help coordinate that day of move. We're very, very hands-on. We're going to work with you from the time of the lease signing to providing some documents that we need to get information from your physician. And then we're going to establish the day of the move and how that's going to play out, and I'll be there greeting you and with you the whole time. And then so you move all of your things from your current space into your new apartment. Maybe you might shuffle a few things back and forth to make it comfortable. We will help you mount a TV. We will help you hang things on the walls. We're there to be of service and to make this as easy a transition as possible. And then let your family come back and identify with the things that you've left in your apartment here, because you've been talking about them. Maybe your granddaughter visited and you said, wouldn't you really love to have that? I didn't realize that. You need to bring all of the things. We don't provide anything for you.
You don't provide.
No, we don't. So you bring your furniture, you bring your linens, your clothing, you bring photographs and wall hangings, you bring a small amount of kitchen items if you want to have them. We'll wash those linens, but we don't provide those linens for 48 apartments. We're not like a hotel. It's really your home. You're just moving from one space to another space with your own belongings. Now, I often have people who are leaving us, and family comes to me, and I help people right from the day of moving out through the turnover of the apartment, like Gloria does up here, and through the move-in for the new resident. And I often have family members come to me and say, well, I really don't have any place for this furniture that's been in my mom's Falmouth House apartment for the last 4 years. I will take those donations. We will assess whether the yard sale would like them, if they're still doing that.
I don't
That
think they are.
they may not be taking any more donations at this time, but that was something that we would do. And I have a small storage area in the lower level at Falmouth House where I put a lot of that donated stuff. So when people come to me, maybe they need something. And I say, well, let's go look and see what we've got. An end table, a lamp, a dresser. So we recycle a lot of the furniture that gets left behind. But we will help you to understand what you need to bring, and then you bring what you have in your apartment to make yourself comfortable. Don't hold the microphone. I'm so sorry. I can't even tell. Somebody should have told me that longer. So you can hear me when it's here? I can't hear that you can hear me. I'm not used to the microphone, sorry. I have 2 messages telling me the microphone was not good. So it's a process, and it's can be done with some assistance, and it takes a while to empty out an apartment here or a cottage.
How long do we have as a family to move out?
Good question.
It is a good question.
Good question.
And it's really up to you and your family. Oh, sorry. Beth asked, how long do we have to move belongings out? And I'm assuming you mean out of the independent apartment? I guess either.
Yeah.
It's a little different for both. Independent, it's really up to you, because we'll work with you and show the apartment regardless of whether you've moved all the belongings out or not, as long as you acknowledge and that's okay with you. So we'll continue the pre-marketing process regardless, but we can't have anyone move in until you move out. And we need to have that rehab time. So we don't pressure anybody to do it fast or, be out by the end of the week or any of that. It's totally up to you, but just keep in mind that, we will have to rehab it, and we can't do that until you have moved everything. And in assisted living, it's different.
In assisted living, this is the same for Legacy and for Falmouth House. We have a 15-day notice, so it's very different in that respect. And that is regardless of how you leave. If you move to another community, if you move back to independent living, we've done it. Or if you move from Falmouth, well, it's different. Let me speak to that one afterwards. It's a 15-day notice, so typically someone has passed, and the family has that 15 days that they are financially obligated. If they stay longer, they will continue to pay until they do actually vacate the apartment. Most families want to understand the process, and once they've gotten over the initial loss, the grieving, the services, they do want to get the belongings out, and that's when they come to me and say, do you want to keep any of it? But if I can have somebody move in before the end of that 15 days, you are not required to pay. We don't double charge. That's a tight turnaround, but I have done it in 10 or 11 days if the apartment's in good shape and I know I have somebody ready, waiting to go right in. Where it's different is if you go from Falmouth House to Legacy, or we've moved people from Legacy back to Falmouth House, or to Falmouth House. It's, you know, we look for the fit, and sometimes we don't quite get it right, or things change with that individual. Your last night at Falmouth House, you pay for Falmouth House, and your first night at Legacy, you pay for Legacy. So there is no 15-day notice when you move within those communities. Again, we wouldn't double charge you. Okay, is there anything else on here?
There's one little last section that we've sort of touched on, independent living and home care and pro. So we did talk about that earlier. Why no nursing level care at the end of life? I do get this question a lot, and when I'm showing people our community, and they may have looked at CCRCs like Piper Shores or other communities that, you know, say, well, we have everything through nursing home or long-term care. And we have chosen not to do that here at OceanView because we want our residents' experience to be a home-like experience at every stage of life. Most people, including myself, have living wills that, or healthcare directives that say that we don't want extreme measures taken at the end of life to prolong life, like feeding tubes or resuscitation. We want comfort care and pain management and hospice kinds of care. And that's, as Tamara mentioned before, what we do regularly at Falmouth House and Legacy Memory Care is bring in that level of hospice care if needed. So that's why we don't have a skilled nursing level here. We've chosen not to, and because it introduces a whole institutional level of regulation and shared rooms and nurses in and out of your room all the time, checking your blood pressure, and you know, it's just not a peaceful experience. So again, we just want all of our residents to have that quiet home-like experience through the end of life. So that's pretty much why we don't have that. And yeah, that was the last bullet point.
I would just follow that up with, you know, most of us want to, you know, the ideas that we would die at home. We don't want to go to a facility. We don't want to be in that sterile environment. So, you know, we've talked a lot about assisted living, but, you know, if you have care in your home and you want to be in your independent living, as long as you have care and can do it safely, you can stay in independent living and have those services and have your end of life be in your space. So it doesn't have to be that you move to another level, you know, at the end of your life. Not everyone needs assisted living. You know, not everybody's going to transition that way. So we do have, you know, the ability to provide hospice care here. I mean, I don't provide hospice care, but hospice will come into independent living cottages and apartments. You can have in-home care as long, again, as it's safe and you're safe. So
I guess one thing I'd just close with is, you know, every situation we're going to come across is different. Every person in this room is going to have something different to deal with. We are all going to have something different to deal with. But just know that you're in a community that is here for you and cares about you. And we have many resources and staff available to help you. And that's why we're here. And so just know that, you know, you can always call upon any of us if you need help or have questions. So I just wanted to close with that.
I know you've been sitting a really long time, so I'm going to be very brief, but I do have a couple of things for you. We kind of segued into a whole nother section of material, which would be end-of-life paperwork. How do you make sure that your wishes are known and followed? Planning what happens after you die, those type of things. So we've kind of put together the start for another one of these to present all of that information. if you think you might be interested in that, would you just give me a little show of hands so I know if we should pursue it or not? Okay, great. Thank you. Contact info for these folks and for the downsizers and for the OVRAF is all in this packet. If you're looking for something and can't find it, just grab any of us and we will help you make a connection. And tomorrow is Veterans Day, and in light of that, the school children from the Falmouth Public Schools have made a bunch of cards for our veterans. So if you are a veteran, check in the back on the tables. They're alphabetical by last name over there by Marcia. And there are some cards for you from the children. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you to our panel.